I love this place already. I always heard that Prince Edward Island was the most beautiful place in Canada, and I used to imagine I was living here.
After parting ways from New Brunswick, we headed north towards one of the most beloved islands in Canada, Prince Edward Island. An island fit for romantics. No, not just the typical kind of romance, but friendships and best friendships. I actually found myself longing for my own bosom buddy while visiting. Now, an island could seem too quaint for some. Everyone knows everyone, not a whole lot to do or see, and I must admit I had some of those fears before visiting as well. But an island like this offers so much more than what's on the surface. It offers a chance to appreciate the beauty in the everyday, watching the seasons pass by more closely, a delightful narrative yet to be written, but lingering in the days to come, and so much more that can be romanticized. Our first stop took us to none other than the Anne of Green Gables Museum, which is the very home that Ellen Montgomery resided in for a time while writing her books. This is the Campbell farmhouse built in 1872. Ellen Montgomery's Aunt Annie and Uncle John resided here and contributed to so many of Montgomery's writings. She called their home the Wonder Castle of my childhood and wished for her very own home just like it. So many notable memories happened in this home for Montgomery. She married in a parlor in 1911. She sewed a quilt as a teen that took 4 years titled Crazy Patchwork, and her book, The Story Girl, was based on all true stories and is known to be her favorite book to write. The story girl narrates the adventures of a group of cousins and their summer together. One major highlight of the book features a character who was stood up at the altar and locked her wedding dress in a blue trunk. The trunk still sits on the first floor of this house to this day, and the wedding dress is shown in this display. Our first days in PEI were so special, hitting us with beautiful spring weather, which is unexpected the more north you travel this time of the year. We found a beautiful overnight spot for the van, arguably my favorite spot so far, which has so many wild dandelions and our very own version of the Lake of Shining Waters. After soaking up some of the most perfect weather, the next day wasn't so forgiving, flaunting cloudy and gray skies and wind that made it feel even colder. But we didn't let the weather take us down, and instead continued with our plans to visit the Anne of Green Gables Heritage Place. Not to be confused with the museum, everything here is completely about Anne and how she came to be as a character. It highlights the history behind how Anne came to be and the steps that Montgomery took to create her. Montgomery would create characters and scenes by taking long walks and acting out scenes and conversations with herself. She revised again and again before taking steps to become published, which would be a challenge in itself. Montgomery worked at a post office operated by her grandparents during the time she first started writing, so she sent out her manuscripts to publishers discreetly. After being turned away numerous times, one finally stuck and made her books a huge success, inspiring different adaptations through the years. Which adaptation of Anne of Green Gables is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. My personal favorite for nostalgia is the 1980s version starring Megan Follows, and Anne with an E, starring Amy Beth McNulty, for the historic spin and accuracy of the times. Speaking of history, we cannot forget the indigenous influence in PEI, where the Mi'kmaq tribe named the island Epaquik, meaning lying in the water. Unfortunately, Montgomery does not highlight indigenous culture and neglects to discuss the colonization and disrespect in the area towards them at the time. It is important to appreciate Anne for her influence on the world and expand that appreciation for all cultures. This is the part that I've been personally longing for: stepping into the home of Green Gables.
But if you're going to call me Anne, would you please be sure to spell it with an E?
What difference does it make how it is spelled?
Makes a lot of difference. Print out A-N-N and it looks absolutely dreadful, but Anne with an E is quite distinguished. So if you'll only call me Anne with an E, I'll try and reconcile myself to not being called Cordelia.
The home was everything and more, and had so many Easter eggs from the book series. I was so in awe that I actually felt it necessary to walk through the entirety of the house a few times. I couldn't possibly take it all in one walkthrough. The trails around Montgomery's house meant a lot to her while writing her books. She once stated, "The woods always seem to me to have a delicate, subtle life of their own. In the woods, I like to be alone. For every tree is a true old friend, and every tiptoeing wind a merry comrade. I always feel so utterly and satisfyingly at home." And now our windy time at Green Gables came to a close, ending the day with pastries, hot cocoa, and a stamp from the author. I found out last minute that there is actually an Anne-themed post office, but this one is cute too. It's time to head towards our next destination, historic Charlottetown. We arrived on a gloomy day and decided to wait until the next day to explore, because it would be the warmest, sunniest day of the week. We grabbed a bite to eat at a local Chinese restaurant, and then we began our quest to explore the small city. Charlottetown is the birthplace of Confederation, which paved the way for Canada's creation in 1867. Charlottetown quickly expanded towards being a place for lumber and shipbuilding. The opening of the PEI Railway expanded it even further towards industrial and waterfront development. May is a bit of a tough time visiting these areas. PEI is still in off-season mode. So many places are closed. However, crowds are also scarce. So it's a win-lose situation for sure. Perhaps we will visit again one day in late summer before off-season begins. We were beginning to plan to leave the central to eastern areas of PEI, so I had to take the opportunity to visit a favorite spot before departing.
That's Barry's Pond.
Oh, no. This is the Lake of Shining Waters. That's its rightful name.
Near our favorite spot to overnight camp in the area, Santi surprised me by finding the cutest shop and garden to visit. I think this is my favorite place on the whole island. This evening I went for a walk all alone, but not a lonely one. I am sometimes lonely in the house or when walking with uncongenial company. But I have never known a moment's loneliness in the woods and fields. I have rich, rare, good company there. Anne paints the most perfect picture of what Green Gables has to offer. Rolling hills and meadows full of wildflowers, perfect for a Sunday picnic with fellow kindred spirits. Today, I want to create one of those picnics. And since I am a van baker myself, I couldn't help but create a homemade pastry. Hopefully nothing like Anne's liniment cake. Prince Edward Island National Park. The only national park on the island stretches along a good portion of the northeastern part of PEI. We got really lucky with the days spent here, and with the trails we chose to hike. It was like an Ellen Montgomery quote come to life. The nicest and sweetest days are not those on which anything very splendid or wonderful or exciting happens, but just those that bring simple little pleasures, following one another softly, like pearls slipping off of a string. We utilized the dump station facilities for our gray water jug before leaving. Then we were on the road again to our final destinations here on Prince Edward Island. We met the coolest local artist named Benny, who creates candle moldings using the red sand from the beaches in Victoria. He carves them all as well. We found ourselves discussing art and life stories with Benny for over an hour and created a friendship we won't forget.
2015, Rodney he got married. I've heard that many times. There was this. Now this is a candle. You'll never see it anywhere else because this is the way it's made. You have it upside down in a mold, and what happens is the wax is put in with no color.
Okay.
And the heat rises in the mold, so that down here, these white tips, that's what you want. They show up brilliantly against when they curl down. But the real tricky part is the purple, because you put the green in and then you have to wait, and you stand over this thing and you're waiting for the right moment, because you have to add its powder dye, very strong. And you just put a little bit of it in on the point, and as it's falling down, the candle has to harden at that instant. Otherwise, if this purple mixes with the green, you get an ugly ground candle.
I see, yeah.
It's a survivor of lightning strikes.
Huh.
It's, and that's, you want to.
Prince Edward Island has been so good to us, and it honestly felt so sad to leave. I felt like a piece of my soul really belongs here, but of course, we have so much to see here in Canada, and our next trip is taking us across waters into stunning landscapes that make you feel like you are in Scotland. Until then, thank you for being here. We'll see you soon. Really? Sasha? Here's an example of how Sasha likes to walk away, and she doesn't always listen to me, but sometimes she does. Sasha? 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 You see, she doesn't listen to me. So, although for the most part she's obedient, she's not always. Sasha? Stop. Yes, stop. How does this work? You just step out and fall. Sasha? Stop. Good girl. A good boy. Oh my God! It's Anne!
I'll take it to my green gable.
It's Anne of Nnyji and Gables.